brightly lit town filled with criminals who love puns. Only two heroes in nipple suits can save the day: Batman and Robin. Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb Boucher,
I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
and welcome to our brand new show, Beyond the Bad. Before we get into it, I want to start with how this show will work. We will be looking at some of cinema's most notoriously bad films and finding a silver lining. Hopefully. We'll also discuss production of the film and present some of our very own rewards. Think Razzies, folks. But before we get into that, I'm going to turn it over to my co-host because I came slightly unprepared about the Rotten Tomato score, and turn that over to you real quick, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, new episode jitters always happens. It's been a while since we launched a new show, sneak preview back in January of 2021, and this will be our last show because more than 4 podcasts is going to burn us all the fuck out. Beyond the Bad. This is where we're going to look at just the worst movies ever, and we're going to be using Rotten Tomatoes primarily as our kind of decider, because that's traditionally where most people recognize a good or a bad movie. We don't necessarily agree with it, but it is what it is, you know. Batman and Robin is sitting at a comfortable 12%, which is quite amazing for a superhero movie. Critics' consensus reads, Joel Schumacher's tongue-in-cheek attitude hits an unbearable limit in Batman and Robin, resulting in a frantic and mindless movie that's too jokey to care much for. And I think that's being pretty generous.
Yeah, it's generous, but goddamn, 12%.
12%.
I'm still sitting on that. No, wow. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie, like watching it, I almost applaud the commitment to like what they are doing with this movie. But yeah, it's like nothing works in this movie at all.
I kept thinking, like, how many times during production did the actors have a moment of like, what have I done? Like, my career will never recover from this. Except for Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's just walking around like, I got to be blue for $300 million.
Dude, based off some quotes I pulled up, which I'll go into in our first segment, yeah, I got the feeling it was hard for a lot of them to act in general in this movie.
Call that acting.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was a good place to start for this show. I mean, there's a lot of movies that, you know, were bad and disappeared, movies that should have been better, movies that are notoriously cult favorites now. But Batman and Robin is a special kind of bad movie. It's one that everybody recognizes as a complete fuck up on all levels. And it's a movie that killed one of the most profitable superhero franchises in history for quite some time. So what better movie to start this show with?
Yeah, I figured when I was coming up with the list, I figured what better way to do this and pick something that's just considered one of the worst films of all time. And I was like, you know what? We're in a superhero boom since like 2008 now. I was like, let's look at superhero films, and then it was easy. It was like it was either gonna be this or like Catwoman was probably the only other one runner up. I was like, let's do Batman and Robin because I was a kid. So that's why I went with this. That's why I went with this. Which I do want to continue flipping this on you for a minute. When did you first see this film? Like, what is your attachment to Batman and Robin? Thinking of that beautiful 12% score.
I have a surprisingly great. I like this movie because I grew up with it. It's hard to admit that. It's hard to own that, especially these days. But I had this on tape along with the Burton films and Batman Forever. Like, these were my Batman movies. And I remember the fucking trailers on the tape. I remember the preview for the like ice cycle Batwing thing. Like it was toys, trailers for toys, and then a trailer for the soundtrack with R. Kelly singing about Gotham City. It just, I remember this. This was a movie that I watched all the time on tape, and I can't hate it because it's Batman and it makes me laugh. I see this as more of a, like, I need to feel good movie. Cause I'll watch it and I'll think like, this is so bad. It's hilarious. And it's just a movie that's been a part of my life forever. So it's hard to really honestly hate it.
I'm not gonna lie, I feel you. This was a film I watched a lot as a kid because the very reasons people fucking despise this movie, when you're a kid, you know no different. It's the very reasons you love this fucking movie. It's bright, it's colorful, it's over the top, it's ridiculous. So you're a kid like, oh, this is fun, this is cool. That's how I felt. I watched it any chance I got. And then as I got on, I went, I don't know why I like this movie so much. But again, like my nostalgia hits. And it's like, I can't hate it too much because I go back. I go back to when I was a kid and when I watched it, God knows how many times.
Yeah, my tape collection just went through a cycle on VHS. I would just watch them constantly. I had them on in the background. There's like 20 or 30 movies that I just had constantly rotating in my life, like till I was like 12. And Batman and Robin was one of those movies. I can quote this whole damn thing. Like, it's not one of my favorite movies. It's just in here and it's not going away. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is a thing.
It achieved technically what it was supposed to do.
I guess so. Yeah.
In a weird way.
Not every movie going forward on this show is going to have that kind of reaction from me. A lot of what we got planned is either dog shit I've never seen or movies I genuinely hate. So, I
tried picking a mixture of stuff I knew would like I could actually kind of talk nice about and stuff I was like, I'm going to despise this, but gotta do it. So
the variety on this show is going to be really interesting. This is going to be really fun going forward.
Or painful, who knows?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and move on to the first segment that I have cooked up for us, known as Development Hell. So in this segment, before I get into it, this is where we'll kind of talk about like behind the scenes stuff, potentially see if we can pinpoint what the fuck may have gone on with the movie. In this case, I was able to pull Batman Ron was a major victim of studio interference. They were rushing it out. I won't say interference, but they were definitely coming a lot, trying to rush something out, do the Power Films humongous success. And they wanted to get more toys out on the shelves.
Yep.
They went up to Schumacher and told him to make a toyetic film.
God.
Toyetic's not a fucking word, but whatever. And
fucking studios, man. They just make shit up on the fly. They don't know what they want. They don't know how to tell you what they want. And then they're pissed when you don't deliver.
Yep. Well, and this is the thing. Here we go. Here's a quote to further this fucking toy thing home. Robin himself, Chris O'Donnell, said, "It just felt like everything got a little soft the second time. On Batman Forever, I felt like I was making a movie. The second time, I felt like I was making a kid's toy commercial."
Yeah, that about sums it up. Although I would disagree about Batman Forever being more of a movie. I think these two are pretty on par with each other.
I'd say Batman Forever tries to stay toned down, but still goes camp. But this just goes full on camp.
At least there's actual dialogue in Batman Forever. It's not just a cheeky pun every single time.
Yeah.
From Academy Award winning screenwriter Akiva Goldsman, by the way. I'll never understand that. How can somebody crank out a screenplay this shitty and then win an Oscar 4 years later for A Beautiful Mind?
I don't know. Shrugs. I got nothing. Well, so this is the thing too, right? There's that quote. And like I said, studio. The other problem was Schumacher. Now, we all know he has since gone to apologize about this film numerous times before his passing. but it was made on his part. His decision was to camp up this film a lot from the prior film. And at one point, Pat Hingle said that before every take, he'd get on his megaphone and say, "Remember, we are making a cartoon." Hence why I brought up like the acting in this film. Like, it was very hard for the actors to feel like they were acting when you're getting told that constantly.
Jesus. And Pat Hingle had been there since the Burton era. He was Gordon for the run of those films. So he'd actually been on a competent Batman production. So that must have hurt especially hard for him and Michael Gough.
Yeah, can you imagine? You're just like, all right, let's do. I'm going to fucking deliver an award-winning scene here, and then, hey, no, cartoon. All right, this is not a live-action film. In a long-running series, it's a goddamn cartoon.
For Uma Thurman, this was 3 years after Pulp Fiction, where she got nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Her career was probably at an all-time high. And then, do you think on this, like, she had a moment of like, what? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing a toy commercial? I could be doing competent productions. Like, what happened?
If she did, she tries harder than most in this movie and did not give any hint of that in the interview. But behind the scenes, she didn't. I got no hint of that. So I don't know.
When you're like trying to plug the movie, when you're like on the press tour, you can't be like, "This was the worst fucking production I've ever been a part of. This movie's dog shit. Don't talk to me."
Like, most of these quotes I got were from like the DVD bonus features of them bad-mouthing this movie.
Like during production?
Whenever it was when the DVD came out. So yeah. All
right. So
I guess like, yeah.
Still,
I don't know.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But along with all those fun decisions, I think the biggest one also, and we will never let anyone forget this, is the fact that there were bat nipples on the bat suits. That was a decision made by Joel Schumacher as well, because he compared them to Greek gods and how they were, the comics are sculpted to perfection. And apparently that involved putting nipples. I don't know if we haven't apparently learned from Zack Snyder, when you make your superheroes and compare them to gods, it usually doesn't end well in your movie.
Why does that always happen? Why does every like auteur filmmaker think that they can change the game by turning like famous campy superheroes into like the equivalent of fucking Greek gods? Why is this a thing? It never works. Every time it doesn't work.
Look, I get it. You're trying to treat like these heroes with like reverence and respect, and that's awesome. And that's what I want to see in my comic movies. At the end of the day, it's based off a comic book. I love comics. I got plenty like coming from Ibon in the mail. I got a pull list from one I'm getting. And, like, I love comics. Right? I got my fair share. They're not gods though. They're fucking comic books.
I've got a great comic collection too. I love comic books, but you can't suck all the whimsy out of it. You can't take all the charm and the corniness out of it, or what you have is a boring, unrelatable story. Or in this case, whatever the fuck Joel Schumacher's leather fetishism is. It's and this was the second time he nippled up the bat suit. In Batman Forever, Kilmer's got nipples too. It's just never, I don't think it's as pronounced as it is in this one.
It's more subtle in Forever. You notice it in Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah. Weirdly though, Batgirl, no nipples on that costume.
Yeah. He talked about that on the behind the scenes thing, because he said that the studio would not have been happy about that. Ooh. So he just had to make it more subtle on her.
However, she is wearing heels, which has always bugged me. Like, why the really?
It's like in Jurassic World when she's running from the T-Rex, and you're like, you're in heels. That's not happening.
Batgirl is not kicking crime's ass in Gotham City with a fucking 4-inch heel.
No.
Oh my god.
Boy. Now that we've talked about that, let's kind of dig into who's in this movie and who directed. I know we've talked a little bit about that, but let's get into this fun part of the development. So, seeing the return of, as we've talked about, director Joel Schumacher, the cast would also consist of George Clooney as Batman, Chris O'Donnell as Robin, Arnold Schwarzenegger as the Iceman himself, Mr. Freeze, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy. Alicia Silverstone comes in to be Batgirl. Michael Gale comes back for the fourth time as Alfred, and then, as I mentioned earlier, Pat Hingle, sorry, not in his Commissioner Gordon role, different role, but in the movie. It's weird.
No, he's still playing Gordon.
Wait, no, yeah, he is. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
He's doing someone else's movie. But if you're probably sitting there wondering, why didn't Val Kilmer come back? He was in Batman Forever. Some of us liked him in Batman Forever. I'll tell you, Schumacher didn't like him. As a lot of people know, Kilmer was notorious on set for being pretty terrible to work with. So between Schumacher basically firing him and his commitment to the critically acclaimed The Saint.
Oh boy.
Yeah. He does not show up in this movie. So instead we get George Clooney, who, I'll say it, not my favorite performance of his.
No, really? You're not pulling for the Cloontang as Batman?
Not here. No.
Well, join the club. You know who's in that club? George Clooney.
Yeah.
I think
for a long time he was like refunding people.
I think he still does. If you go up to him and he's got like 20s, he'll give you like money back. I read that he has a poster of Batman and Robin, a giant poster in his office to constantly remind him never to take projects solely on financial gain, to always read the script, think about it first, because his career dodged a pretty big bullet once, and it could always happen again if he chooses the wrong movie.
Yeah, the lesson to be learned, like, don't just do a movie because it's Batman. Like, really decide this one. Like, really be like, is the script for this one good?
I read I watched the documentary Val on Amazon Prime, and that is the most self-serving, arrogant doc I've ever seen, because it's entirely Val Kilmer talking about, like, I'm not difficult. I just am very choosy about who I work with and what I do, and I'm committed to the art. And he's like trying to justify like decades of being a dick on set, and it just doesn't fly. When he gets to Batman, his explanations are just like, well, I didn't like the script. I didn't like that I couldn't move. And like, it's okay. So you acted like a petulant child the entire production because of that. Like,
dude, I won't watch that documentary because I'm like, no, dude, you're not going to sit there and try to say you aren't an asshole and then try to get sympathy because I think he has like throat cancer or some shit.
Yeah, he beat throat cancer, but he had pretty severe vocal cord surgery, and he can't talk without the aid of a machine anymore.
Yeah, and it's like he's trying to get something. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. You were a notorious asshole your whole career. Like, and now you're just trying to do this to save face. Like, no, I don't have sympathy for you at all.
Dude, his decisions are going to make, he's going to come up on this show a lot. He has made some really horrible script choices in his career, especially in the late 90s. So you're get used to his name.
Yeah, you would think he'd be on like one of the other shows, but no, not nearly as often as he'll be here.
Oh God. You know, considering Schumacher had to deal with Val Kilmer being a arrogant prick, Tommy Lee Jones's rampant dislike for Jim Carrey.
I do not sanction your buffoonery.
Yeah, that's the constant shit from the studio, the fan expectations. It's a miracle Batman Forever actually was, ended up being a coherent film.
Yeah, and the fact that people prefer it over Robin.
I do. Forever, I like that one more. I think it's a tighter movie. I think Jim Carrey as the Riddler was a good choice. I don't necessarily like the way it played out, but he was a good choice. I thought Tommy Lee Jones was terribly miscast, and basically him and Carrey are playing the Joker the whole time, which is annoying.
Yeah, and what's funny is that he doesn't sanction his buffoonery, but he's acting like Jim Carrey in the movie.
Yeah, there's a reason for that. He refused to be upstaged. He was like, no buffoon is going to act harder than me. Oh, God. But I digress. That's another movie for another episode.
That's another fun-filled day talking about Batman Forever.
It's quite a lot of Batman you could throw onto this show, which is pretty sad.
Yeah, there is. Well, Oh wait, I was about to say no. Then I was like, yeah, Zack Snyder's bullshit.
Yeah, there's a couple animated ones. I think there's more Superman that will find a home here, but there's more than enough Batman.
Yeah, there's a lot more than enough Batman. Oh, oh boy. With that said, our fan anticipation was high on this movie, surprisingly, because as we did talk about, Batman Forever was actually like a huge hit. A lot of people have a soft spot for that one. And which means in turn, the pressure was felt on everyone involved in making this film. It would actually not ultimately go down as a hugely successful film. Instead, it would quickly go down as one of the worst, if not the worst. Well, no, one of the worst. I think Catwoman's like running for the worst superhero films in comic book history. You're probably wondering, well, how bad? It can't be that bad. You got a lot of great shit since then, since 2005, right? Well, it killed two sequels, which were planned, canceled a planned Superman film starring Nicolas Cage and directed by Tim Burton, and made the Batman franchise go dormant until 2005. So, yes, that bad.
It never occurred to me that this movie killed Superman Lives. That's a shame. Oh man.
The studio had so much planned, so much hope on this film, and the moment it flopped, it just all went away. Hence why I say, like, in a very weird fucking world we live in, if it wasn't for the flop of this film, we would probably not even know what Batman Begins. But because this film flopped so hard, we have the Batman era we do now, which I think is pretty good. With the Dark Knight trilogy, Ben Affleck as Batman, I do like. I don't think his films are very good, and I don't blame him. Again, kind of like with Henry Cavill, I blame the scripts they were handed. Yeah. And then the upcoming Matt Reeves one that just looks stellar. So weird. I know it's a weird stance to take, but it's kind of true.
Those planned sequels. I knew about the one, Batman Triumphant, the one where it was supposed to be Scarecrow, Killer Croc, and Harley was going to be Joker's daughter this time. But I didn't know there was another movie.
Yes, it was going to be like a solo Robin film where he was going to become Nightwing. So the seeds were actually, as you can tell, this getting planted.
Jesus. Oh man. To be responsible for that many crashed projects. Oh my God.
In some cases, careers. But
yeah. I mean, I'm sure Chris O'Donnell thanks his lucky stars every day for NCIS New Orleans or whatever the fuck, whichever one of those he headlines.
Yeah, I looked it up when I was. Yeah, I was actually looking up when I was watching. I was like, what the fuck does he do anyway? And I looked it up. And I was like, oh, he's the lead in one of the NCISs. Okay, good for him.
I think Alicia Silverstone, like she was in Clueless, she was in this, and then she became like a spokesperson for PETA. And that's it. Like I think now she's playing like guest appearances as moms on various TV shows.
I saw a trailer for a horror film she's popping up in. She's doing stuff, but it's not big scale like this.
I hope never in a million years will this happen. I want her to have a cameo in HBO Max's Batgirl movie.
She'll be lucky if she pops up in Batwoman.
Oh man, that's rough. That's harsh.
I'm making a dig at that show, and I watched that show. I just want to point this out.
Oh man, I've got all the time in the world now, and I have no interest in revisiting the Arrowverse as it was once called. I think now it's like the CW Superverse or whatever the fuck.
It's not like that, and even then, I get the feeling like with each passing season, it's just getting closer to the end because you can just like the way they just keep killing off planned spinoffs and stuff. I'm like, they're getting ready to fucking either like kill this thing off or just drastically reduce the amount of shows.
I looked into that Armageddon thing. I saw a picture of Despero, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He's got such a cool look in the comics, and you just make him a Scot in a fucking Greek robe. That's it. That's all you got.
Yeah, I've been watching the Armageddon thing. It's definitely the weakest crossover because it's not really a fucking crossover. because
How rough can this end of the world crisis be if your backup is Batwoman 2 and Supergirl's sister? Like, really? Not Supergirl, her sister without powers.
I can't use Supergirl because her show's over, so apparently she's just not on call anymore. And Oliver Queen arrowheaded with, spoiler alert, him dying. So can't do a lot. Yeah, if you want to look at a film that just knows how to, you know how The Rock's like the Viagra franchises?
Yeah.
This is the exact opposite. Batman and Robin is like, oh God, what's a good drug that puts you to sleep?
Like Xanax?
Could be.
NyQuil?
Could be Xanax.
Whatever.
Something like that. But it's a good way to kill shit. It's a good way to say, like, people don't want this anymore. And you know what? I think I'm most mad, honestly, about the Superman thing, because Tim Burton directing and Nicolas Cage's Superman, we all know how big of a Superman fan he is. And this isn't now Cage. This was 90s. Prime Cage, people.
As much as I love Cage and appreciate some 90s Burton, that movie would have sucked so hard because of the producer interference. Remember the guy who like pestered Kevin Smith about the big spider? He was involved in this. Like, this movie would have ended up being so far from Cage and Burton's vision that it would have just been unrecognizable. So maybe it's for the best that we never got that movie.
Maybe it is for the best. Maybe it's for the best. This fucking travesty came out. And
yeah. Batman and Robin died so that fan love of Superman could live. This movie's a martyr.
Even though, has Superman really lived since then? Because this movie track record is still kind of spotty.
I didn't say it worked out well, but I hate Superman Returns as well. So yeah, we haven't gotten a good Superman movie since 1980, which is really sad.
That's the most depressing thing I've heard.
Yeah. Superman 2, directed by Richard Donner, was a masterpiece. And then that was it. Superman 3 and 4 were shit. Superman Returns was shit. Zack Snyder's tenure with Superman has been mediocre at best. And going forward, they have no fucking clue what to do.
Yeah, they're really on and off by like, no, we're going to do no, we're not. No, we'll do Henry Cavill's in it. No, he's not. Like,
I'm hearing Henry Cavill wants in. Henry Cavill's being shut out. They're going to do a black Superman. They're not going to do a black Superman. They are going to do a black Superman, but it's not Clark Kent. Like, just make up your fucking mind. Do something. Oh, it's nice to have a place to just bitch for like an hour. I'm not gonna lie. This feels good.
Don't get me wrong, I'm annoyed, but I'm not. Wow, I wasn't holding it in like that. Well, I guess in a little bit of like good news, since the film has released, several people involved have apologized for the finished film. For what it's worth, chief among them, Clooney and Schumacher. As we said earlier, Clooney was known to give out refunds. Schumacher actually on that DVD I was watching said, for those of you who saw Batman Forever, who were entertained and were excited for what we were going to do next, and walked out disappointed, I am truly sorry. That was not my intention. I meant to entertain.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So in terms of who's at fault here, I think the blame can be passed around quite a bit. Schumacher certainly, with his leather thing with the nipples and the cod pieces and the like, just the way he decided to turn this into like a neon sign come to life. Okay. And then you got Akiva Goldsman, who wrote a screenplay made entirely of shitty puns with zero character development and just ridiculous shit. And then you got the producers who told them both to do that. So I don't know. I think everyone kind of fucked up here.
Everyone fucked up, but I mean, like, I'll give Schumacher credit for like coming out and apologizing like that and like owning up to stuff that he was very adamant was like during when I was watching the thing, he was good about being like, look, this is what the Steelers said, but this was on me. You know, he was very like open about what was his creative decision, what he decided to do, and then saying like, hey, look, not my intention to like disappoint you guys. I wanted to entertain. I didn't do that. Sorry, like that's on me. And I got to give him credit for that. It probably takes a lot to do that.
Well, his name was forever stuck to this. Like anytime somebody thought of Joel Schumacher, this is the movie that they thought of, and they thought, ugh, and just get out of here. I mean, yeah, he worked after this, but he never had mainstream success again.
You didn't have like Lost Boys,
Even that, I'm not that hot on.
You shut your dirty mouth.
I was gonna say something about. Oh yeah. However, Arnold Schwarzenegger has nothing but fond memories of this, which makes me laugh. Because he got paid like a shit ton of dough, never acted on set with anybody, and just, was blue, did some ice puns, went home, considerably richer, and he's like, I got to make a comic book movie. I had fun.
Fathered his secret child. He had a great time.
Yeah, he has been fucking killing it for 40 years. Good for him. Say what you want about all that, all that shit, but he's Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's who he is.
Yeah. And look, I grew up loving him as a kid, so I still love a lot of his movies.
Yeah. I know. I wish somebody had told him to put that cookie down, but clearly no one did.
Oh, someone did. He just got real aroused by how it was told to him.
I still am amazed that he was able to keep this baby a secret, a baby who looked exactly fucking like him until the kid was an adult.
It's truly a miracle that even happened. I mean, I'm not condoning what he did at all, but holy fuck. That
Papa! Wow! Just come on, really? Whatever. It's ridiculous. But I am glad he had a good time playing Mr. Freeze. And I'm hoping with this whole multiverse thing happening with the Flash movie, maybe one day get a little cameo, a little Freeze cameo.
I would love that.
He would do it again. He would do it.
Oh yeah, he would.
Like imagine the end, like the post-credit scene of like a Michael Keaton new Batman movie, and you just hear like "Ice to See You, Batman" or something like that off screen, and you're like, "Oh shit!" And then a freeze gun like gets him. Tell me we wouldn't all be super excited.
I'd be like, just give me that sequel now.
At this point, like his freeze has become just like an inadvertent delight because of how ridiculously stupid it is.
It really, like, I'll get more into it later, but he does really liven up this fucking movie because he's the only one having a good time, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, if you gave me like $80 million and said, I'm going to paint you blue and you're going to make ice puns for about 6 months, I'd be like, fucking, break it out. Paint me up, man. Let's do this. I get it.
It's that effect that if you pay, he's actually trying. He's giving it his all with these fucking ice puns. It's fantastic.
There's some that are like a little chill, like a little chilly. You know what I mean? But I did not go into that expecting to make an ice pun, but I found it along the way. Anyway,
it's what happens when you watch this movie.
Like when he's taking on the dinosaur / like vase / diamond museum exhibit. I don't know. And he's like, the guard asks for mercy, and he like, I'm afraid my condition has left me cold to your mercy. I don't know why, but the delivery on that always gives me chills. God
damn you.
It's too easy. I get it. It's too easy.
It's right there.
There's gold in the streets. How am I expected not to scoop it up?
Oh boy. Is there any final words you'd like to say before we move on to the to our version of the Razzies here?
I bet George Clooney gets on his hands and knees and thanks the Coen brothers every single day of his life, because 3 years later, he got the O Brothers script and his career diverted from blockbusters into the indie scene, and he never looked back.
That's not what I was expecting at all, but I like it. On that note, like I said, let's now that we talked about behind the scenes for a bit here, let's give out some awards, and after see if there is a silver lining. So, first up, the worst scene, or as it was a unanimous decision here, as we call it, the Zack Snyder.
The Zack Snyder Award.
So see, even if you don't talk about him on Sneak Preview, he's going to pop up like every week consistently for this award.
I'm okay with that, because what this is a weekly shit on his career, and I can work with that. I'm okay with that. Okay. Do you want to start, or should I?
You know what? I will be nice. I'll let my co-host go.
Oh, thank you. How generous. The worst scene in Batman and Robin, that is like having to pick your favorite child. It's impossible. It's just not. But I found a way, because there's one scene in this movie that I, for the life of me, will never understand why it's here. And it is the motorcycle race where we see Coolio show up randomly, and Batgirl and Robin have a bit of a rigged motorcycle race through the Gotham underbelly. Why is this here? I don't care. I want more Freeze and Batman and Poison Ivy. Anything else? I don't know why Coolio's here. I don't know why there's Clockwork Orange Droogs walking around in the background. That guy is like, how much you got? Like, there's so much bad shit in this scene alone. It just, you could take it out and nothing would change.
One, I actually almost put this scene on my list. I opted not to. I picked something else. And two, Coolio, I found out in my research, that was a Jonathan Crane cameo. Schumacher had plans to make him Scarecrow in the next film.
You fucking kidding me?
No.
What the hell? In what world does that make sense? Oh my God. Dr. Jonathan Crane, Arkham scientist, expert on fear, moonlights as a pimp in the Gotham underbelly.
And secretly astounding rapper.
Oh my God. Is he? I don't know if I'd call Coolio an astounding rapper. He certainly is a rapper. I don't know.
He does that job.
Oh my God.
I know the scene, like, it's like you said, you could just take it out of the movie and be fine. Like, the most he is, you found out that she's a thrill seeker, and you could have easily found that out any other way than this.
Well, they could have done something a little bit more interesting, you know? I mean, something that made sense instead of just saying like, oh, motorcycles. Motorcycles are cool. All right, motorcycles. I guarantee you that's how it went down.
Yeah. And then let's race across these like really high bridges that, like, I don't know where ground is in Gotham City ever.
He's got these like Adonis statues that are like 300 feet tall, holding up observatories. What is with the architecture of this city?
I don't know. Like, did the Earth, like, and then that's why I'm talking about the fact that, like, Poison Ivy's stuff, they don't establish that it takes place outside of Gotham when she's first introduced. So, like, where the fuck was she at in Gotham? That it's the jungle.
I think it was supposed to be just some vague South America, because Bane was a Hispanic dude, and that is all I've got. That's my evidence.
It's all right.
It's not a well-written film. There's no. I can only do what I can only do my best.
I was like, that was okay. You know what? I'll take it. God damn it.
What's your worst scene?
My worst scene. It might be a little cliche. A lot of people probably agree, but I had to go with it. The zoomed close-up shots of them suiting up. It is so goddamn unnecessary. It lingers on shots that I don't want lingered on. And after, let me tell you, like, watching this, and then I watched Labyrinth afterward, I was like, I've had enough dick in movies for the rest of my goddamn life.
That is a heavily padded double feature right there.
A lot of bulge, a lot of cod pieces,
a lot of badass.
It's just like I'm not trying to be that person that's like, well, he did it because he's clearly, he's an out and proud director. But you're watching and you're kind of like, Schumacher, are you doing this less for the audience and more for you? Because like you're zooming in on dick, ass, and then bat nipples. Like, we don't need those zoom ins. We don't need it. It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, the Wachowskis are transgender. Pedro Almodovar is gay. Gus Van Sant is gay, but they're not shoving leather fetishes into our face with our favorite superheroes having nipples and anatomically correct ass on the suit. We don't need it. We don't need it. The Burton films didn't do that. Like, I don't want to kink shame, but at the same time, I kind of do. So, fuck it.
I'm not going to kink shame here because it's not weird. I mean, those who like BDSM, they like leather.
Yeah, and that's all the power to you. But personally,
I don't
need to see it on Batman.
Yeah, it's like, look, man, look, Joel, buddy, pal. What you do when you go home is what you do when you go home. I don't need it in your movie.
The weirdest thing about it, though, is that Warner Brothers wanted to sell toys to children, but they were perfectly okay with Schumacher just showing up with, like Batman and Robin in fucking gimp suits, pretty much.
Right? And they watched this and went, this is fine. This is fine. Keep going. Yep. Good.
I just want to point out, by the way, $160 million budget.
Yeah. And for anyone else, like, because I know if you look on Wikipedia, I think the box office was like 243 or something like that. But like, well, it made over. Yeah, but if you add in marketing costs and stuff, this film did not make its profit back. And if it did, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah.
Connor got vote on me. All right. Well, with that, I think we can move on to our next award, known as the worst line, or as we're going to call it, the Ed Wood. Now, I want to point out that as I'm calling it the Ed Wood, I understand that there's a lot of love for this director in Hollywood because, admittedly, to his credit, he very much committed to his films because he just wanted to make movies. So, in a weird sort of way, while this is going to celebrate some of the worst fucking lines of dialogue I've heard in my life, in a weird way, this is the only one that, to me, I'm not entirely shitting on the director here because I'll give this director credit for what he was doing with his craft, even though he did make some notoriously bad films.
I've got no hate for Ed Wood. He followed his own vision. He did what he wanted to do. It just so happened he had zero talent in any of it. And you know what? I can relate to that.
Yeah. So
we've all bitten off more than we could chew at our dream.
Yeah. Just had to point that out here, at least for this our first episode.
Yeah. In the future, I'm sure we'll tackle some Ed Wood films. I mean, I don't know if he's considered, an icon. I guess he's an iconic director at this point. But, he showed some love to Bela Lugosi in his Twilight years when no one else was. So he's a good dude, solid dude, had a good group of friends. They made movies that they loved. However, he was a absolutely terrible screenwriter and director, and that has to be acknowledged.
Yes, it must. But that said, much like Oscar Sunday, I forgot to tell you, but you're fine having up to 3 quotes.
I assume I have 2.
Okay, because I have 2, and I forgot to tell you. So, with that said, what are your 2, my friend?
Again, like the worst line of Batman and Robin. Jesus, I mean, the whole damn script could be here. But there's two specific ones that just had my eyes rolling so far into the back of my head, I thought I was going to go blind. The first one comes from the auction of women to a bunch of rich billionaires, which already it's like, what the fuck is going on here? And Poison Ivy shows up and is like, I'm hotter than all these bitches. Vote for me. And everyone, including the J. Jonah Jameson knockoff guy, is like, I'll bid $500,000. And yeah, he looks exactly like J.K. Simmons in Spider-Man. To this day,
I'm laughing at your version of his voice.
It just kind of I don't plan this shit. It just happens. So Batman and Robin start bidding on Poison Ivy, and Batman whips out his fucking credit card and says, "Never leave the cave without it."
This is when I almost wrote this down. I said, nope, I have other ones I want. So I'm glad I didn't now.
It's the situation. It's the cha-ching noise when it comes out. The fact that the expiration date says forever. And the play on the Amex slogan. It's also not they're both blatantly revealing that Batman happens to be a millionaire, which there's only one fucking millionaire in Gotham City. So way to just broadcast your identity to the public there. The media is right next to you, Bruce. Anyway.
Bruce.
There's that one. And then my other one comes from Freeze. It's when Ivy decides to partner up with Freeze, despite the fact that their plans make zero sense together. He wants to freeze the world. She wants to start life anew. You can't do that when the world's fucking frozen, but whatever. And she proposes, rebirth. And he just says, Adam and evil. It's so cringy. I can't even look at the fucking screen.
The only reason I did not put a single thing of Schwarzenegger's lines down in mine, well, hint as to mine too, is because he delivers them with so much like commitment and glee. But no, that's a fucking corny one. Like his eye strokes were better than that.
Yeah, it was unnecessary. It was stupid, and yeah.
All right, well, mine, like you said, man, it was just kind of tough. There's just a lot of bad lines, but I kind of had one already planned that I was like, I'm going to put this because I've always fucking hated it. And then one that as I was watching, I was like, I got to put this because fuck this line. This 2-sentence line, really. The first one is George Clooney saying, I'm Batman. And I put that here because we've had, what, 5, 6 Batmans now? As
live
far as
action film. There was Adam West, Michael Keaton, Val Kilmer, George Clooney, Affleck, and Pattinson.
How many did you just count?
6.
Okay, I was like, I didn't see your fingers.
Yeah, my mistake.
I wasn't keeping track.
Yeah,
God damn it. All right, so for right now, we'll say 5 because we haven't seen the upcoming one, and I think all he says in the trailer is "I'm vengeance." But you know what? Even that, when he says "I'm vengeance," sounds more committed on him than how George Clooney says this fucking line. This to me is the worst like rendition of the "I'm Batman" line by any of the actors. Like, you do not feel one bit that George Clooney himself believes he's fucking Batman.
Before we get too far, I have to point out, I don't think I counted Christian Bale.
Oh shit, you did it.
God damn it. My mistake. So it's 6. With Pattinson will be number 7 then.
Okay.
All right. I agree with you entirely. His I'm Batman is so fucking uncommitted and casual. It's like he's on a first date. It's so weird. I'm Batman.
It's literally like you can miss it. Like, it's that bad. Like, usually, like, when the line's coming up in the movie, you're like, okay, he's about to say it, and then like they say, you're like, yeah. And this one, it's just like, oh shit, he already said it. Like when the fuck that happened?
To me personally, that line represents the moment the actor becomes Batman. The moment that actor steps into the shoes of that role. Keaton had his great moment. He started this whole thing. the trend of I'm Batman. Christian Bale had like I think the best one when he pulls Falcone out of the car and just like I'm Batman right in his face.
Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember Kilmer's and I don't remember Affleck's either, but Clooney just sliding down a dinosaur like, "Hiya, Freeze, I'm Batman." Like, no, you're not.
No, I don't believe it. Jesus,
You are that man. You're not Batman.
yeah. And like I said, the fact that like in the upcoming, like for the upcoming film, right? That, fucking goddamn it, Robert Pattinson, Jesus Christ, like I might have liked on him. Robert Pattinson could he again? We haven't heard him say it yet because I've seen the movie, but you know he says that line in the trailer. They're like, "Who are you?" And he beats the shit out of that dude, and you just hear him go, "On vengeance." The way he delivers that makes me go, "This is fucking Batman." He didn't even say it. This is fucking Batman, guys.
Dude, I have high expectations, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be paid off. That movie looks incredible.
Yeah.
And did you hear about the Penguin miniseries we're getting with it?
I've heard it's been like I guess confirmed because I kind of knew about it already. Like I remember them talking about it, but I guess they confirmed it.
Colin Farrell came out and said that he's going to be starring in a Penguin kind of prequel like miniseries that talks about how Oswald Cobblepot became a boss in the Gotham underbelly.
He must fucking enjoy playing that character.
You can kind of tell, like the scene where he's like, "I got you" in the trailer, like he's having fun.
Yeah, like oh yeah, I could tell. Like if he's not in that whole movie, he's not in the whole movie. I know he said he's not in like he's actually not even a huge chunk of it. It sounds like he's going to make it fucking worth the small amount that he's in though.
Well, he's probably he's in it for the long haul. Going to be one of those setup villains. Penguin will probably be the bad guy in part 2 or one of the bad guys.
Yeah,
yeah. It's nice. It's nice to have good Batman again.
Right? Good to not be in this era anymore. As for my second line, oh boy, this was the one that like as soon as it like I heard it, I was like, I'm going to fucking punch this guy in the face. And that's when Robin is bitching and says, "I want a Robin signal in the sky. I'm tired of living in your shadow." And the way it's delivered, and I'm gonna say this right, I don't think Chris O'Donnell was like terrible in these two films by any means. Like I've seen worse acting in like from what should be good actors. But like the way that line is delivered and just like the whole thing, I want a Robin signal in the sky. Like that's what's gonna cause you to blow up. That you don't have your own little signal there. Cupcake, you gonna be okay? Do you need a little bit to wipe those tears? Do you want the world's smallest violin to play for you? Like, no, you're Robin. You ain't fucking Batman, bro.
Oh, I think of Kevin Conroy's Batman, who I think is the definitive Batman across all medium. If Robin had bitched to him like this, his ass is booted out. Tim Drake is on the board. Like, no, you don't talk to Batman, the billionaire who's letting you live rent free in his house. Like, shut the fuck up and play ball.
Yeah. If you leave that house, you literally have nothing because you have no money, Robin. He's literally bankrolling your entire life to help you out there, bud.
It always makes me laugh. I know his name is Dick Grayson, but when Bruce is trying to convince him that Ivy's like a threat, and he goes, "She's trying to kill you, Dick." I always like the wording there.
That's a line that this was like list of favorite lines that would have been on there for me. It cracks me up so much.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Good picks.
Try to move on to the next award.
Why not?
Let's do it. Now that we've talked about the worst line, let's talk about the worst performance. The Steven Seagal, which I feel is like the most fitting actor for this because dear God.
I once read that Steven Seagal became a movie star as the result of a bet. That there was this producer who bet another producer that it was like trading places, that he could turn any Joe Schmo into a movie star, no matter how unlikable or uncharismatic they are. And the other guy's like, well, I happen to know this local karate instructor who's just a ball of fucking grease who knows nothing about charisma. Let's do that. Lo and behold, that's the reason we've got Steven Seagal. I hope to God that was true.
I hope so.
I didn't fact check it because I love the story so much.
Oh God, it would make sense. God, what was it? I remember when I was watching Machete and he did that fight scene at the end, and I was like, "There's no way." I get this whole movie is meant to be like a funny joke, and I was on board for the entire first movie.
Yeah,
I was like, "There's no way that was planned though." Like him fighting at the end. I was like, that had to be because he's just that terrible. They just had to work with what they had.
That Seagal's pushing 350 and he's fighting like a trim, muscular Danny Trejo, and there's even a balance of power in that fight. And B, to cast Steven Seagal as a fucking Mexican cartel lord. Are you kidding me? The whitest motherfucker.
Well, I feel like that was part of the joke, that part.
I hope it was a joke. Honestly, I can never tell these days.
And that's because I say that because like it's based off the Grindhouse, like the films. So it's meant to be a Grindhouse film. So that's why I say like I feel like that part was a joke. I don't know if that whole fight scene though was a part of the joke. I wonder if that was like they had to work with what they had.
In a movie where like a woman literally like shoves a cell phone up her vagina, I probably shouldn't be that worried about Steven Seagal playing a Mexican guy. Good point. Good point. Anyway, yeah, he's a joke. He's never made a good movie in his career, and he keeps cracking them out. He's the king of the $5 DVD bin at Walmart. So perfect for this award.
Yes.
And there are contenders for this one. Hard to pick who really bombs it the hardest on this one. But I had to go with my gut. I have always hated Alicia Silverstone in this movie. Batgirl got ripped to shreds. Such a great character in DC's catalog got eviscerated and turned into a joke in this movie. And I hate that. I'm hoping HBO Max's movie does better for the character. Honestly, they couldn't do worse. Her line delivery is so stilted. She has some of the worst one-liners. Her chemistry is terrible with everybody. And she's just unnecessary. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. It's funny too, because like, you watch something like Clueless and she's hilarious. Like, I've things like back when my parents liked movies. That was a movie my mom really enjoyed. And so I saw it a couple of times, mainly because I came and saw Paul Rudd first. I was like, ooh, what's this? It's like Paul Rudd's in it. It's like, oh, Clueless. I'm gonna watch it. She's generally like really funny. She plays the part well. I don't know what the fuck happened here. Well, kind of it's the script probably. And
maybe it's like Hayden Christensen's problem in the Star Wars prequels. No matter how good an actor you are, if the dialogue's that shitty, no one can sell it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because like you said, it's like you could definitely, like you were saying about Batgirl being such a great character, you could feel again how we were talking about earlier with this film canceling so much planned shit. You feel that hard with this character because I would say this is now the only character that has yet to pop up live action again until very recently here soon with the HBO Max movie. Like I think they've used her in the cartoon movies, I believe, but like live action, like no, like this movie like effectively killed anyone being interested in seeing a live action Batgirl.
You can thank like TV shows like Gotham and Titans for kind of revamping some of these characters on the small screen. But yeah, Barbara Gordon, as she's supposed to be in the comics, not Barbara Wilson. I don't know why they did that, why they took away the connection to the commissioner, who you've had there for 4 movies. God damn it. But yeah, Barbara Gordon, I think, popped up in the Birds of Prey show that was short-lived on WB. And other than that, I don't think she's ever popped up live action again.
Yeah, it's yeah, like you said. I mean, luckily Gotham. The ones who haven't had a movie, they popped up here on Gotham, like Mr. Freeze, or like I've been watching it, Titans, the live action Titans. They have Dick Grayson's Robin / Nightwing on it, so he's the main character, so he's had a big push there. So it's like luckily they've all had this push, but not fucking Batgirl, man. Like this movie, like really effectively, like killed her character live action wise. Again, we've gotten lucky in the fact that we are finally in the Batgirl movie, not with Joss Whedon attached anymore. So hopefully we're about to have like she'll have her second coming, and we get a badass Batgirl movie, and people can latch onto this character like they should.
Yeah, I've got high hopes for that. I think, we're getting Brendan Fraser as Firefly. Like that alone is like, cool. Okay. And yeah, I think as long as they, do the character justice, show Barbara Gordon's, ferocity, her commitment to justice. And then, if they want to do eventually, if this becomes a franchise, do the transition into the Oracle. I hope it works out. I want to see that character done correctly.
Yeah. And actually, she wasn't Batgirl, but they did have Barbara Gordon in the recent season at the time. She just never became Batgirl, but she was Barbara Gordon, and they made a lot of reference to Oracle in the show. There was a lot of Oracle references. So like they at least had that aspect. So she is getting like their steam coming back on this character, luckily.
Good. Good to hear.
And yeah, I think a lot of the issues here was that from what I was watching, Schumacher kind of threw her into this movie because he wanted to attract a female audience as well. So there wasn't any real story incentive. Just let's get some females into this movie.
God, that guy really loved dick, didn't he? Moving
on. That said, my pick to some might seem controversial because he is an acclaimed, loved, established actor. Yep. But I have to call it as it is, and that is George Clooney in this fucking movie. Okay, it's kind of hamper home with that Batman line. Most of this film, he seems so fucking disinterested, and it's just not giving a solid performance at all. Like, especially as Batman. Like, dear God, do I never feel him as like a menacing threat to these villains or a menacing presence that they should fear at any point. I don't feel it at all anytime he's Batman.
I was more intimidated by Adam West.
I mean, who isn't? It's Adam West.
Fair enough.
Yeah. He kind of livens up a little bit as Bruce Wayne. But I think that's just because like I felt like that role's easier for him to play because I'm just huge George Clooney is in real life.
Kind of, yeah.
And that's not a dig. Like the guy's a classy man. He's aging like fine wine. I'll say it. Jesus Christ. But even then, like he's still like I never feel like he's fully there. Yeah, it's the Bruce Wayne scenes. Like the big moment with Alfred getting sick and dying. I never feel like he's actually like that sad for someone who he very much considers family. So it's like it's just not like I can't get into his fucking character at all because I feel like he's not committed.
Yeah, straight up. And I think that he just, he accepts, fresh off of ER, he's like, a heartthrob. He wants to be a movie star. It ain't difficult. And Batman and Robin comes across his desk and he's like, they want me to be Batman? Oh my God, that's a huge role. Michael Keaton was Batman. Val Kilmer was Batman. And I guess at the time that was a big deal. And Clooney's like, I'll take it. And then he gets to set and he's like, oh, this is terrible. This is horrible. This script is abysmal. What have I done in my career? So I bet the whole time he's just worried that this is going to be the last time anyone sees him on camera. I think that's what it is. And yeah, amazingly, he survived the nuclear explosion that took out so many careers. And I bet, yeah, I love that he's humble about it. He's like, yeah, that movie was terrible. I'm sorry I'm in it. And I'm sorry you hated it. I'll give you your money back. And the poster in the office just makes me happy. Like it constantly reminds you of the biggest failure you ever had as an actor. Like keep that in your head, it keeps him down to earth. I like that. But yeah, he is fucking horrible as Batman.
Yeah. I love his approach to how he approaches it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, performance wise, itself for that movie is just like, dear God.
I wonder, if Michael Keaton like went and saw Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and was like, yeah, I made the right decision. It's like, yeah, I'm Batman and I can brag about that. Like the only two actors who can brag about their Batman tenure are Michael Keaton and Christian Bale. Like everyone else is like, ugh.
Possibly 3, depending on this new movie.
Even so, Affleck still got Batman v Superman and Justice League like hanging over him at all times.
Yeah. I was talking about Robert Pattinson possibly with the new movie.
I was thinking about Affleck's turn in The Flash. But yeah, Pattinson, I don't think has anything to worry about.
No, I just keep bringing that up because I really want people to stop being like, "Oh, the Twilight guy." He's a good actor, folks. Trust me,
dude.
Watch his indie shit.
In '89, Michael Keaton was the goofy dude from Beetlejuice who had done a couple of like low budget comedies, and then he was Batman. So, give people a chance first.
They're called actors. They do this thing called acting.
Yeah.
So.
This may shock you, but Robert Pattinson is not actually a vampire.
Okay, quick aside before we go on to like the last category. I had someone at work. He was recommending a movie. Oh, he's recommending Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
And the guy, the guy's like, "Is that the one with Jake Gyllenhaal?" And we're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Is he gay?" We're like, "No." Why do you ask? He's like, "Well, yeah, he did that movie Brokeback. And he was like really convincing or something like that." And I mean, like usually I'm quiet because I just don't like to like do it like people that just
idiots.
Have that mindset. Yeah, it's like that old school mindset. Like an actor can't act gay, like as if they're not still act whatever. But I kind of snapped from it. I was like, he's an actor. Like I was like, he's an actor, dude. He was acting. It's like no, but that I was like, he's a fucking actor. Oh my God. Like it's called acting. I was like, he wasn't actually fucking Heath Ledger. I was like, that would be porn.
Brokeback Mountain is not a documentary. Sylvester Stallone is not a boxer. Like Chris Evans is not a super soldier. Jake Gyllenhaal is not a gay cowboy. Are you kidding me? Like, are we really? This is actually as of this release, it's 2022. Are we really talking about this? Do we really not understand what acting is? Oh my God. Do you think that when Godzilla destroys Tokyo, they have to rebuild the city every single time? Is that what you think? Like, are we serious with this? An Independence Day that the whole, like every landmark on Earth just blew up and you think that nobody ever talked about it again?
That 2012 actually happened like it did in the movie?
Dear God, I've never heard of secondhand stupid that strong. I'm amazed.
Yeah, it's just like, and to me, it's like that, and also it's like it's ignorant. Like it's like it says 2022. Like, are you still that hung up on like people being gay? Like, dude, who gives a fuck?
Yeah, that is 100% your hang up that you need to deal with, and clearly you're not. I mean, yeah. Jesus Christ.
One, he's an actor. And two, if he was gay, who gives a shit if Jake Gyllenhaal wants to suck some dick?
I don't care. It makes him a better actor, suck them all.
Yeah, I was like, if anything, I'm concerned for any man that wants to suck his dick because he doesn't like to shower.
Big old callback to the sneak preview with that one. Yeah, the ongoing showering celebrities versus non-showering celebrities debate. And I say ongoing, and I can't believe I fucking have to. But this is a story that won't go away. Yeah, there are some stanky ass celebrities out there. And yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal is one of them.
If anything, Heath Ledger was probably really grossed out by having to fake or kiss him on camera.
I'm hoping this is a recent thing and not something he's been doing his entire fucking life, because that's horrifying.
Yeah, guys. All right. Well, getting back from that tangent, let's go.
I am real quick. I am kind of amazed neither of us picked Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, I don't completely hate him. Like, I feel like he is legit trying in both movies. It's just like he's handed some terrible dialogue.
That's true.
I really don't hate him. I just think the dialogue he's given is awful, and it's just it. And yeah, like I know, like I said, George Clooney is George Clooney, but it's just like it's hard for me to say like, oh no, this is a good performance. It's like no, he's clearly disinterested, and it's just like I still consider him to be the worst fucking Batman.
Yeah, I mean he's got some stiff competition. What? Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. All right, and now for the last award. Worst filmmaking decision, or as the only man that I could call this after, Michael Bay.
Is he the worst at making decisions when it comes to movies? I think so.
Also, yeah, his teleprompter broke, and he couldn't tell you why he makes films. So yes.
Ouch. Yeah, I think few directors are as synonymous with just mindless Hollywood fluff. I mean, even his look, he looks like Hollywood's worst aspects manifested into a human being. So, yeah, this was worst filmmaking decision. So this can be anything, a line, an action, casting, anything. The decision involved in the filmmaking process, the worst one. This is going to be interesting. So I could have gone any number of avenues with this. I could have gone with the horrific disservice this film does to Bane. An iconic character, a brilliant strategist reduced to a pro wrestler with green makeup going Bane. It's a joke. I could have gone with, turning the brilliant and calculating Mr. Freeze into a conveyor belt of ice puns. But honestly, the worst thing this film does is the way they write Robin. I fucking hate what they do to Robin in this movie. They turn him into a whiny bitch with no gratitude, no completely unrelatable, unlikable. He's constantly bitching about trust, yet he is constantly distrustful of Batman. Pick a lane, bro. And the way that's kind of rectified is kind of out of the blue, spur of the moment, and doesn't feel earned. And it's just a terrible subplot throughout the entire movie. Robin.
Yeah, no, there's always the jokes, right, about the different Robins, and especially Dick Grayson being kind of the whiny one. And I think a lot of that, I'm sure it was in the comics, but I think a lot of that stems from this fucking film.
To be fair, Dick Grayson, not considered the whiny one in the comics. The whiny one in the comics is Jason Todd.
Oh, that's right. That's why he got killed off.
Yeah. Dick Grayson is Batman's son, his successor, the best Robin.
That's right. Sorry. Long fucking day. No, yeah, and it's just especially because again, like I said, I'm watching, Titans. And one of the biggest things with that is the Robin in that point in the show very much wants to distance himself from Batman. He has some beef with his mentor in Bruce Wayne / Batman. But it was they were actively working on that show to make sure he's pissed. He broods a bit, but he's not whiny. You get to understand why he feels the way he does towards Bruce Wayne, towards Batman. So you understand it. And this one is just the whole time you're dude, shut the fuck up. You're just whiny. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's hard to believe that Batman would ever associate himself, would ever bring somebody this polarizing into his inner circle. This is your sidekick who's bitching about the fact that he doesn't have his own signal in this guy. Right? And I know a lot of this is Poison Ivy hyping up his issues, but he was like this way before they met Poison Ivy. So I don't blame her entirely.
No, because he had that whole scene where they're chasing Mr. Freeze and Batman locks up his bike and he just yells into the sky.
Ah, yeah. Ugh. On the thumb of a giant Adonis statue.
God, you could have put the architecture as a filmmaking decision, for Christ's sakes.
Yeah, I know. We did Batman Returns on the Filmgazm podcast a while ago, And Austin remarked about how much he adores Tim Burton's production design of Gotham City in his two movies. And yeah, I think it has a very distinct style of like kind of modern versus old, kind of 50s versus 80s. It's all hybridized into a really unique Gotham. Whereas Schumacher's Gotham is just completely made up on the fly. There's very little thought thrown into it. There's neon lights, there's giant statues, there's like apartment buildings next to skyscrapers. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, no, it's like you said, like Byrne took elements that should not have worked to make a city in his Batmans, but made it to where like you wanted to go visit that city at least.
Yeah.
And like actually kind of visit that ward because you were that interested in the production design on his Gotham. Schumacher, in an attempt to, put his stamp on it, did in a way that made me go, how is this? Like, I don't want to visit that city because I'm just through both. And it's the same thing when I watch Batman Forever. I'm just sitting there going, how the fuck do you get anywhere in this city? Does it have a bottom? Does it just sink into the core of the earth? Like, what the fuck is going on with the design of this goddamn city?
Yeah, it's hilarious. So what do you think is the worst decision made in this film?
Mine, it took me a minute, and I went with the old standby that we all talk about to this day, the bat nipples. Okay. Since I recently watched Labyrinth, you notice David Bowie's bulge. And in a weird sort of way, it's haunting, but you can't stop looking. But it's not the worst filmmaking decision ever. If anything, it's a power move that I appreciate what they're doing.
A power move. Oh yeah, it's like I'm going to show my dick in this kid's movie, and you can't stop me.
Yeah. So if anything, I kind of respect what's happening here. Not the case with bat nipples. It's a move that I like that bulge. I see it. I can't look away from the nipples, except it's not because I'm like, okay. I'm sitting there going, why are there two clearly defined fucking nipples on this goddamn suit? Like, I didn't ask for it. I didn't want it. You already have like the cod piece that is trying to give off the vibe of a bulge and the constant like ass shots going on. And then I'm like, I don't need the nipple. It's a fucking bat suit. I don't need these things. It's a goddamn suit to make sure he doesn't die when he fights. I was like, and let's be honest, like in real life, you're still going to die in that suit because that suit is probably not something you want to wear. Like, so just fucking don't worry about the nipples.
Yeah, the suit is, Batman's suit is supposed to be, heavily armored, protective of, it's got, the gadgets, the utility belt and all that. His looks like just, a thin layer of rubber. It's gross. And the cod piece is so unnaturally big. It makes them both look like they've got testicular cancer. It's
just thinking of the South Park episode now.
It's just a ball. Yeah, I love that episode. God, Randy, your balls. Like, I know, smoking weed right in front of a cop.
I like when he's trying to get inside and he can't. Like, just like bring it over here. No, so it has to be inside.
I like when he figures it out and you see him bouncing down the sidewalk and he's just like, like laughing, bouncing on his balls like it's a yeah, that was like one of my best. That was one of the best episodes. I love that episode.
Yeah. Well, all right. The copy. This was another thing they brought up in the bonus features. Apparently, like George Clooney and them were joking around last meeting because I guess Chris O'Donnell, whatever, paid someone extra to make his codpiece bigger. And so they want to do it to Clooney's, but Clooney's like, it's fine because it makes my ass look good. And I'm like, I don't care about any of this, guys. I don't give a shit in my superhero film about any of this.
I have never once, when reading a Batman comic, when playing a Batman game, when watching a Batman movie, when having Batman fucking breakfast cereal, whatever it is, not once have I ever saw a picture of Batman and Robin and thought, who's got the bigger dick? That question has never wandered through my head. What the fuck, guys?
And, and you know, I guess like we should kind of touch on it, but like I'm sure there are probably some people like, well, what if it was a female superhero? I was like, I want at the end of the day, I want a superhero to wear a practical fucking costume.
Yeah.
That
I wasn't
glorifying.
thinking of Batgirl's dick either.
Yeah.
I get your point.
Yeah, I don't glorify parts. Like this costume's meant to be practical, right? Because I think what was it when Wonder Woman came out, a lot of like real fucking shitheads online like, oh, Gal Gadot doesn't have big tits. That's not why I'm tuning into Wonder Woman. I was like, if you want that, look up porn. They got you here and there, buddy. I'm like, but if you're paying to see an actual fucking movie, I just want someone that does the part good in a practical fucking suit that makes goddamn sense for them to be wearing.
Yeah. I look at the same thing. I look for the same thing from a superhero movie as I do for every other genre of film I watch. Is it entertaining? Is it good? Is it well written? All of this it's all I care about. And yeah. Batman and Robin, no.
No. And like I said, them joking about like the bat nipples and codpiece. I'm like, look, guys, if you want to make your Batman porn, like, go do that instead. Leave it out of this actual Batman movie. Just,
I feel like Joel Schumacher would have directed a fucking fantastic Batman porno.
You probably would have. I mean, we probably wouldn't want to watch it because I kind of a feeling
it's gay. It's a gay porno, but it's probably spectacular. I mean, where else would you want nipples on a bat suit and a giant cod piece? This was his calling, and he missed it.
You're not wrong, though. That's the thing. God damn.
This is the best show. Okay. Yeah,
All
the
right.
nipples. I nearly went with the nipples, but Robin's characterization in this film is a fucking travesty, and I couldn't ignore it.
I didn't even think about that. I was just so. I think it's because, like I said, every time the suits on, I'm just like, yep, there are the nipples. They're right there.
It makes me think again with South Park, the guys who like were running the internet in South Park, and they're like, oh, hearing complaints, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're so sorry, and they're like opening their flaps and like rubbing their nipples. That's what I think of every time I see those.
God damn it. That was a good episode. Woo! All right, well, we've spent a fair amount of time shitting on this film. So now, briefly, Connor, I want us to take away the shit caps, if you will. I'll come up with a better term later. And let's find something. Let's find that silver lining, something that we can take away that we did enjoy about this film. I'll let you go first.
The silver lining is something you brought up at the beginning of the show. And it's the fact that if this movie hadn't bombed so hard, we never would have gotten the Dark Knight trilogy. Because those are three of the greatest superhero movies ever made. Still rewatchable, so fantastic. And they would not exist had Batman and Robin not fallen so hard off the goddamn hill and broken its neck. So thank you for that.
That's a good one. I think that stumbled off the hill and broke its goddamn. I feel like it did more than that when it stumbled down the hill.
I just picture in Black Sheep when Chris Farley can't stop falling down the hill, except he doesn't live at the end.
Some dude just comes in and goes, "Here lies Batman and Robin."
Yep.
All right. Mine, it's not as deep as that is. Mine is who we mentioned earlier. The one person that I mentioned seems to actually kind of get the material and just be having the time of his life. Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, this is not the definitive fucking version of Freeze by any means, and I understand that completely. But God, does he know how to deliver a pun? I mean, he got handed a script of puns and like looks at them and went like, "I got you," and delivered every single one that would apply. It does not matter how bad the pun was or how good. he delivered every single time.
I like to think that he took one look at the script and was like, I have a few conditions. And they're like, oh, name them, sir. He's like, okay, I want a scene where I am conducting an orchestra singing Mr. White Christmas, and I'm wearing fuzzy slippers and smoking a frozen cigar somehow. And they're like, done. That always, like, how is he smoking that? It's a frozen cigar.
One of my favorite parts is when like the guy interrupts his movie and he freezes him. He goes, I hate when people interrupt the movie. And he goes back to watching.
That has been the don't talk during the movie PSA at Alamo Drafthouse for every DC movie I've ever seen. I love that.
Yeah,
he makes this thing bearable.
He really does. And honestly, I would say Uma Thurman is like right behind him. I don't know what it was about those two, but it's like they got the script and it's like they just went, okay, this is shit, but we are going to make this work. And I don't know how they pulled it off, but they're the only two that pulled this fucking thing off to me. Like, and again, like, you know, Poison Ivy gets some pretty terrible fucking lines, but Uma Thurman just knew how to play like sexy and seductive and over the top all at once somehow and pulled it off. And Schwarzenegger just knows, you know, he's Schwarzenegger. And I feel like he was just kind of like, especially 90s Schwarzenegger, like that's when you really felt like he was playing into his persona a lot more and like kind of having fun with what people perceive him as. You know, that's when he was coming out with Jingle All the Way, Kindergarten Cop. I know you're not a big fan of it, but Twins. Like, you know, taking what we know about him and having fun with it. And I feel like that's what he was doing here, where he was like, yeah, I'm going to be in this really stupid, ridiculous, over the top action movie, but I'm going to have a fun time.
He oozes so much charisma. He got top billing over Batman in this movie. I love that. Like it's Arnold Schwarzenegger, George Clooney. That's fucking great.
Yeah, no, we all know why we're here. And it ain't George Clooney.
Even on the like on the VHS tape cover, I remember it's the poster on Rotten Tomatoes. Batman is over here on the left, and like Freeze is above him in the top center, like covers half the fucking case. Like this is a Mr. Freeze movie that Batman happens to be in.
It's the power of 90s Schwarzenegger, man. He still had it.
He still got it now. Like as far as I'm concerned, you know, he never left.
I still will fucking watch a movie he's in. I fucking love Schwarzenegger so much.
Yeah, he's the man. You know?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't condone what he did, but I love the man. Like, I grew up he was the action guy I watched with my dad growing up, so I've always had an affinity for Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I loved Bill Burr's whole bit about Schwarzenegger, like, you know, becoming famous for lifting weights, like marrying into American royalty, becoming like the biggest box office star on earth, like becoming a politician, like retiring, then going back into Hollywood. Like, it's a good point, you know. I mean, few men have achieved even a fraction of what he has.
Yeah, she's iconic alley-oop every single time.
He's been doing layups his whole fucking life.
I love how he's like, you don't know what she was like. Maybe she was dominating him. He was into that kind of thing.
Why wouldn't he think he could fuck the maid and get away with it? Good point. Oh boy. Yeah. Fantastic.
Ooh, well, I got no real good transition on that one, but with that out of the way, now for another again, kind of shame, but still having fun. I think a segment that I feel like you're really looking for. I know I am. I know you've been looking forward to this. And that's our final segment called What's in the Box?
What's in the fucking box? Give me the gun.
So to give an idea for this segment, as of I'm hoping a good chunk of you know, being movie fans, have heard about this little thing called Letterboxd. Wonderful little social media thing. We can store the movies you watch, rate them, all stuff. Well, people leave reviews. Now, after me and Connor sat through some, I was showing Connor the rest of the Halloween series one day, and we sat through some of the truly awful ones. We quickly learned that people on there for bad movies leave some seriously funny fucking reviews on there. It is a lively bunch on Letterboxd. So we decided to take that and make it to a segment. The idea is that in this case, Connor or whoever co-host I have down the line will pick up to a maximum of 5. Don't exceed 5 because it just becomes a whole fucking Letterboxd thing. They pick up to that much. I don't fucking know what these say. I haven't seen them. This is a surprise for me. The ideal is to just to get me to laugh. So, with that said, and Josh, you're gonna love this. Thrill me.
What's in the box? So, yeah, Letterboxd is quickly becoming a real significant player in film review websites these days. When you Google a movie, it's now listed as one of the ones like IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, Letterboxd. Like, it's become a big one. So there's no shortage of reviews of really good movies and really, really bad movies. And like Caleb said, the bad reviews are works of art in some cases. Like, they put so much thought, way more thought into trashing a movie than they do praising a movie, which I think we all kind of do. So I have 5 here, a couple short ones and a couple long ones, and not all negative, but I did find the funniest ones. And on Letterboxd, you can review a film for between 1 to 5 stars, or you can give it a heart. There's a lot of different ways to do this. So without further ado, here are 5 reviews from Letterboxd on Batman and Robin. Number 1, this is from Lee Pritchard. You either die the Dark Knight or live long enough to see yourself become Batman and Robin. 1 star. Oh, that wasn't hard.
Die the Dark Knight or live long enough to be. That's good. I like that. That's clever.
This is from Andreas Martinez. Really quickly, very succinct. So bad it hurts. 1 star.
It's such a weird one. It's like, what? Wait, what?
All right. This is from.
You know what? You know what? I've been there. I sat through our Transformers last night. I got a fucking headache, a legit headache watching that movie. I took a fucking aspirin after the movie. Like, I literally got a headache. It hurt me.
All right. So we're recording this in mid-December. So I have just done the prep for our West Side Story Oscar Sunday episode. And in watching the 5 films up for Best Picture, I had to watch a film called Fanny from 1961 that took me 2 fucking weeks to watch because it was so unbearably boring and pointless. It was only 2 hours and 14 minutes long. It took me 2 weeks, 3 separate sittings. And I was getting a headache every single time because this movie was pissing me off by how like aimless it was. So yeah, I understand the idea that some movies can physically hurt you.
Yeah. So you know what? Had you had me for that particular Transformers, I've been like, I don't get it, but yeah, I get it. I'm in there.
Okay, number 3. This is from Guillermo Prieto IV. There will never be a movie this fucking stupid and campy with this budget ever made again. It genuinely makes me sad, and people should embrace silliness more. 4 stars.
What?
That does not make sense. I hated this movie so much. Everyone should see it. 4 stars.
This is a bad movie. 5 stars. Check it out.
Oh my God. Okay.
Never watch this film again. 10 stars.
This is from Sam Sleeper. Not going to say much about this movie because most of the stuff I said about Forever is true about this one too. It's just plain bare ass. Everyone knows that this movie is bad, so I'm not going to bother coming up with new things to say. I'm just so defeated. I just watched a 2-hour-long toy commercial. Everyone in this movie is a dumbass. This movie is dumb. I'm dumb for watching this movie. I don't want to think about this ever again. I want to be free from this movie. Hopefully, a rewatch of Phantasm will do that for me. Hopefully, God and me. 0.5 star. Which is the lowest you can give a movie. This guy has issues with this film, and I get it.
I lost it after the bare ass line. That was something with bare ass.
I've never heard anything referred to as bare ass. It's beautiful. I love that he's planning on Phantasm being the movie that wakes him out of this like suicidal funk this movie put him in. We said a rewatch, so I'm assuming that he's like, you know, I love this movie. This will save my life. Oh my God.
I hope you're alive out there. Jesus Christ.
I'm gonna look for that name. I'm hoping I can find some of the same people. I mean, that's a long shot, but you know, I'll look. And number 5, Joel. Oh, first off, this is from James Bradshaw. Joel, you never should have had to apologize for this gift. Rest in anatomically correct rubber, you sweet prince. If you're on board with Schumacher's vibe going in, this movie is a massive step forward from Batman Forever. It's more kinetic, the fat is trimmed, and the camp is dialed in perfectly. By stripping things back to what is essentially an updated version of the 60s Batman vibe, Schumacher negates the series' need to expand its narrative and move forward. He ditched what isn't needed and delivers on all fronts the ridiculous and fun roller coaster this film is. It's dumb, loud, crass, and oh so quotable. Truly a camp classic. Schumacher's Gotham is in full swing here, and I'd honestly call it stunning. Just so many muscular male statues holding up bridges and buildings. I love it for what it is, and Clooney fits in like a well-worn pair of shoes. Love the Alfred stuff too. Like the Bat credit card, this is a movie for any occasion, and he gives this a heart, which means he loved this movie. And I included this one. I didn't expect this to be literally the opposite of everything we just said, but it works as a great closer. And it makes me happy that there's people out there who see this and are like, that was amazing. Oh,
this movie changed my life in a good way.
Yeah, this was fun. I'm going to enjoy doing this every week.
Yeah, I enjoy this segment.
My personal favorite was So Bad It Hurts, because that was it. That's all they had. They needed to say something, but they didn't want to say too much.
Yeah, they're so hurting. They're like, oh, I can't say a lot. The aspirin hasn't kicked in yet.
Yeah, something needs to be said though. Yeah,
mine toss up between that one and the guy. I need to rewatch Phantasm. Like, the bare ass, and he just went from there. It was great.
Yeah, and then you either die the Dark Knight or you live long enough to see yourself become Batman and Robin. That's just great. If you're familiar with the Dark Knight, you'll appreciate that. And if you're listening to this, odds are you fucking are. Yeah,
it's a great callback, if you will, and very cheeky. I'm a fan of cheeky comments.
Oh, me too. Oh, this was fun, man. Just knowing the variety of the films we're going to be doing on this show, I'm going to have so much fun finding crazy shit about all these movies from that site.
Oh yeah, because this is the thing, like, this was a good start, right? Picking Batman and Robin. There's some films, like I said at the beginning, like I purposely picked some films that I knew like there's a good chance we're going to despise. So I'm like, I can't just keep doing films that I love, and especially the film we'll be doing next week. The next episode of this show is one I know we both personally love. But I figured get it out early, get it out of my system, I'll be happy. But yeah, there's definitely some stuff I know I'm just like, oh, I gotta sit to this movie.
I know that on all the other shows and on the Filmgazm website, we do a 1 out of 10 score. But I mean, on this show, I feel like it would just be kind of insulting, kind of like, kicking them while they're down. So I don't know if you want to do that here. We can, but I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary unless somehow at the end we're like, you know what, this was a 10 out of 10 film. We're crazy.
I could say right now, for me personally, it will never be a 10 on this show.
Yeah.
There will rarely be an 8. So
yeah, I would say I personally don't want to keep kicking a dead horse with the score. If it's something like the movie we got like next week's, I might give that a score just because I disagree so heavily with people's hate on it.
Fair enough. Okay, that's a good one. If we disagree with the universal hatred, we'll throw our own score at it. But if we agree, which will happen quite a lot, we'll just leave it.
Yeah, unless I truly because if anything, like if you're curious, I know I keep fucking, it's been a while. Once I get back to goddamn writing reviews, you can just go on the site and check out my review anyway for these episodes, and they'll be up there anyway.
Yeah, there you go. Cool.
We plug in the site.
Yeah, we got to plug this up. We don't do that enough. We have a website. You guys know that? Filmgazm.com. You can check it out whenever you want. All the reviews, all the episodes of all of our shows. We got articles written by a lot of the team. You can read our bios. You can check out the trailers for stuff that's coming out soon. All sorts of shit on the website. Check that out.
Yeah, check out our website. And actually, Connor, if you want, before we wrap this up, unless you have more you want to say about the movie or the show, is there anything else you'd like to plug?
Well, there's our socials. You can always check us out at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Filmgazm Productions. If you want to send us a message on feedback, if you like this show, if you don't like this show, I mean, we're going to keep doing it whether you like it or not, but we'd like to know so we can tweak it. Send us an email.
It could be your bad show, just like we're watching our bad movies.
Exactly. This can be the thing that you hate but have to deal with. Wouldn't that be fun? Filmgasm@gmail.com, or you can send us a message through the socials. You can always donate if you want to support this podcast. Click on that. You don't have to, but we appreciate it. We're recording this in December, so I have no fucking clue what's going on in the Filmgazm podcast or sneak preview or Oscar Sunday. So I'll just leave that for now. What's coming out next week for Beyond the Bad?
Well, for Beyond the Bad, we will be looking at, as far as I am concerned, the underrated, yeah, I said it, action film video game adaptation, 2005's rock vehicle, Doom.
Doom.
It may not be the game, and as someone who actually has played the two most recent ones, it's definitely not the games, but it's a lot of fun. If you just give into this movie, it is so much fun.
God, I haven't played Doom since like the late 80s, which is amazing because I was born in 1995. But I remember seeing Doom at the movies with a friend and thinking, this is awesome. Like, I didn't understand why everyone hated it. I was like, this is cool. And then, it's been a while, so maybe I've changed. We'll find out.
I'm still gonna love it, but I can definitely be like, no, this is definitely going for first line or whatever. Like,
yeah, I think it'll be fun. There's going to be a lot of video game movies on this show because the curse speaks for itself. But next week, if you want to come hear us talk about The Rock when he was still The Rock, early Carl Urban movie, Richard Brake is in this thing, Dexter Fletcher, Rosamund Pike, a lot of people who are pretty significant these days. So definitely a fun movie if you're in the mindset for it.
Yeah. And with that said, this has been, as far as I'm concerned, a wonderful first episode of our brand new show, Beyond the Bad. I am highly looking forward to doing this for the foreseeable future, for the coming weeks. Take a break at least once a week. No, I'm kidding. No, just
yeah, but, this is for me going to be kind of like, I know I've said this about every single show we've produced, but this is going to be recess where I could just turn my brain off, watch a piece of shit, and talk about it for a little bit. It's fun. Like, I haven't had to use any brain power on this episode. I haven't had to try to impress anybody. I haven't had to try to pull facts out of my ass. It's just Batman and Robin. And next week's going to be just Doom. It's nice. It's a nice change of pace.
Yeah. And for me, as weird as it sounds, because that's all I do for their shows. It gives me the chance kind of like, especially if it's a movie I own, because believe it or not, I own some of these fucking films anyway. I can go through my bonus features. I can do all the fun research I tend to love to do anyway, and really kind of build the show of it. In a lot of cases, really dig into stuff I didn't even know about, like what went into the making these films and how they kind of ended up the way they did anyway. So
yeah, a big part of this, is like a bad movie doesn't just fall out of the fucking sky. Things have to happen. People have to make bad decisions. People have to make wrong decisions. People have to make no decisions. And this is what it ends up, a movie that gets lost to time and lost to culture. And here we are pulling it out of the void and talking about it again.
Because on Filmgazm, we never forget.
Nope. No, we do not.
No.
And this covers
Well-
kind of the 4 tent poles of movies. We've got cult movies covered. We've got award movies covered. We've got new movies covered. And now we have bad movies covered.
It's only a matter of time with the bad films.
Fantastic. This is definitely going to be a blast.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and thank you all for this journey into our first episode. And until next time, watch out for villains who love puns. They'll hurt you and they'll make puns with it. And go kick some ice.
Thank you.